And here is my friend in advance of the Oscars, and I'm delighted to say Van Connor's going to join us throughout the show Monday morning to bring us regular updates on the Oscars, the 91,000th Academy Awards, whatever it is this year. And Van joins us now for his, between us, half a dozen Freeview film recommendations, something to watch over what could be a rather damp and chilly weekend when the football's not on. Good morning, Van. How's your week been, mate? You seen any big films this week?
Yeah, I did finally get around to watching The Whale. I mean, there's nothing like leaving it till the last minute for the Oscars, is there? I did see Scream 6 as well. That was pretty fun.
And do you think Brendan Fraser's performance might steal the Oscar away from Elvis?
Do you know, I honestly don't know. It's like the best performance that's on offer in the worst movie. It's a really strange one.
Interesting. I'm surprised Brad Pitt didn't get even a nod for Babylon. I think he's fantastic, even the best supporting actor in Babylon. It's a great film, I think, Babylon, apart from the last 20 minutes or so.
I'll be honest, I liked the last 10 minutes more than I liked most of the movie, but I would rather see, but it's great. Babylon literally ends with the inclusion of two way better James Cameron movies right at the end.
Yes.
Which is, that you get an extra star for me just for that, but if you're going to give Brad Pitt some awards love, don't give it in for Babylon, give it in for Bullet Train, a movie that proved even 2 years of a pandemic can't slow down old Pitt.
Yeah, right, that is a fantastic film. Anyway, let's start with your first recommendation, another fine film. What have you got for us this week, Van?
Well, we're going to stick with the Oscars, and we'll start, tonight, film for 9 o'clock. Let's go with the movie that finally bagged Leo his Oscar. The movie that we're very glad he got the Oscar for, because if this is the extreme he had to go to, I don't want to know what was coming up down the road otherwise. It is, of course, 2015's The Revenant by Alejandro Iñárritu. The story of a man left for dead, pelt hunter, left for dead by a, bitter co-worker, played by Tom Hardy, has to claw his way back to civilization, through the snow, through the ice, through the sludge, through the water, through every element imaginable, and of course, that infamous bear attack. It is a hell of them. Do you remember The Revenant, Paul? I
love The Revenant. I only watched it about 3 weeks ago. I found it on DVD.
Oh, wow.
I was sticking it in again, and I've read the book it was based on, but largely a true story. I mean, and what I love about it is he obviously shot the open air scenes using available light, because you get a quality of grey in the sky I don't think I've seen in any other film. He really captures that sense of it being either just going into or just out of winter, and the attack by the Canadian First Peoples, it's just a terrifying, brilliantly done, really a great film, folks. If you've never seen it, treat yourself. Not the jolliest of watches, but it's a great film.
No, amazing cinematography, as you say, amazing cinematography by Emmanuel Lubezki as well. Really worth checking out. If you've never seen it, you're in for a hell of a treat. If you have seen it, well, you know exactly why you should be watching it again. It's on tonight, film for 9 p.m. Got a clip for you. This is Hardy and Leo going at it, in the snow.
Look for the bare necessities.
Hey, Glass, is it true what they say about you shooting that lieutenant while you was living them sandwiches?
Gerald.
21 dead soldiers, more than 40 dead feathernecks, but you and your boy are the only ones who get to walk out alive. It's kind of a miracle, don't you think?
Shut up, Fitzgerald.
Is that what you did? Shot one of your own to save this little dog right here?
What
You want to fight, son? Why, was you playing with this little boy's mama? Huh?
Fitzgerald!
Did you kill her? Hey, you can quit polishing that rifle when I'm talking to you.
I'm working on it.
You can work on it later when I'm done talking to you. Look at me, Scout.
That's enough!
You're forgetting your place, boy.
As far as I can tell, my place is right here on the smart end of this rifle.
It's the kind of film I'd like to think Sam Peckinpah might have considered had it come across his desk.
Yeah.
It's got a reality to it that's, Sam never quite managed to bring off in the cinema, so that's a cracking recommendation, The Revenant. My first one's based...
I don't think we'd have survived Peckinpah's version, no, Paul?
No, I don't think so. My first recommendation is The 300, from about 2006, based, of course, on the almost mythical, but it was in fact an actual event, the Battle of Thermopylae, in which the Spartans did their best, along with other Greek peoples, Greek nations, city-states, to hold back the advance of the Persian Empire. Actually, they failed in real life, and it was a naval encounter or two that put paid to the Persians' ambitions to roll into Greece. But don't let that hold you up. It's based on a Frank Miller comic book. What do they call it now? Graphic novel. And it's coloured by his then wife, I think Lynn Varley gets a credit on the as a co-author of this. It's brilliant because it's actually got Gerard Butler, Dominic West, and Michael Fassbender, and Lena Hurley as cast members, and they've been rendered in a way that makes them look like Frank Miller's brilliant art. Now, he's the man who gave us Sin City, he gave us The Dark Knight Returns, so he's really an amazing writer and comic book artist, that rare double whammy. And this, I think, is a great adaptation. The guys' bodies are a little bit too cut and buffed, I think, to be completely convincing. And there's a whole element, there's an underlying, almost, I won't say Islamophobia, Iranophobia about this, because of course Persia is now known as Iran, and Iran is not the most popular of nations with many Americans, but this is based on a true story. I think there's almost a kind of fantasy element to the way the Persians are depicted, with some of the creatures working with them and the people fighting for them. But a very exciting film, even if we know the outcome. If you don't know the outcome, you're in for a real old treat on this one. And this turns up on 5 Star tonight at 9 o'clock. It's from 2006. It's a cracking film called 300, and it's followed immediately by the sequel, which isn't as good, 300 Rise of an Empire. Here it is. Here's my clip, just a bit of the trailer. Enjoy, and take yourself way back into the past, about 2,700 years.
Be afraid! Sparta will burn to the ground. 1,000 nations of the Persian Empire descend upon you.
What must a king do to save his world?
Instead, ask yourself, what should a free man do?
Threaten my people with slavery and death.
This is madness!
Madness.
This is Sparta!
The lovely Irish brogue of the authentic Spartan there, coming out from fantastic. I mean, he's great, Gerard Butler. He gives great kind of warrior spirit. And your second recommendation is also an interesting choice, Van. Tell us more.
This weekend sees the release of Champions in cinemas, with Woody Harrelson as a basketball coach for a group of young adults with special needs. It's the directorial debut of Bobby Farrelly, of the Farrelly brothers fame. His other brother, you might remember, went on to win an Oscars for Green Book only a handful of years ago. So it's now Bobby's turn to try his hand at solo directing this week. But we can go back in time, meanwhile, to 1995, to the Farrelly brothers, I think, first real big breakout hit, Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
And to put this in historical context for you, imagine there was a TV actor today who just randomly came out and in the space of a year dropped 3 of his first movies and earned $100 million with every single one of them. And that's what happened to Jim Carrey in 1994-95, with the release of Ace Ventura, The Mask, and then Dumb and Dumber, which was the cherry on top of a perfect year. It is one of the all-time great comedies. 2 idiots go on a road trip in search of true love. Ostensibly, in reality, it's to return a lost briefcase. But they don't realise they've inadvertently mixed themselves up in a just epic kidnapping case. And not only that, they've taken one of the kidnappers along for a ride with them. It is an absolutely bonkers movie. If it hadn't have made a star out of Jim Carrey, I don't know what would have, because it's a performance like nothing else. It's an absolutely incredible turn from this, at that point, when he was making it, still relatively unproven on a cinematic canvas Canadian performer. It's absolutely banging. 5:05 on 5 from 1995 on Saturday night. You can see Dumb and Dumber. I've got a clip for you. This is Jim Carrey and the equally brilliant Jeff Daniels in this as well. This is them in their dog-shaped van, because one of them is a dog groomer. This is somehow plot relevant. This is them in their dog-shaped van, and they don't realise that the man they're trying to entertain in this clip is someone who's intent on killing them and has also kidnapped a man.
Here we go then. It's Dumb and Dumber. And I would avoid the sequel, Dumber and Dumberer, which is all right in its way, but the first one is an absolute comedy masterpiece. And here's that clip.
That's it. I've had it with this dump. We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Okay, just calm down.
What the hell are we doing here, Harry? We gotta get out of this town.
Yeah, and go where? Where are we gonna go?
I'll tell you where. Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called Aspen.
I'd love to know the process by which Jim Carrey and the director and the wardrobe people decided on that pudding base and haircut. It's perfect, and it works at every level, but I don't quite know why. How would you even begin to think of that? It's brilliant.
They were both Jim Carrey's suggestions. The tooth is actually his. He has a cap on his teeth, yeah. And he just took it off to do the role. But the haircut, he then just decided would be funny.
And it certainly is funny. It's a very funny film indeed. And as Van said about the Revenant, even if you've seen it, watch it again, because it's an absolute cracker.
Oh, yeah.
And I've gone for a modern masterpiece, quite old-fashioned in its way, apart from the way it portrays battle scenes, which is blood and guts and reality and very disturbing indeed. It's, of course, from 1998, Saving Private Ryan, up there with Spielberg's greatest films, I think. Yes, it's very sentimental at heart, but it's based on the kind of feelings that the people had in the Second World War for families that sacrificed all their sons in some cases. And basically, it sounds very simple. People who are involved in or responsible for writing out telegrams saying condolences, you've lost your son in the war, and many details as they can. suddenly realised that 3 brothers from the same family have died virtually within the space of a few days. 1 fighting the Japanese, 2 on the beaches of Normandy, and there's a 4th brother, who is still alive, they think. And that's what Tom Hanks' captain is tasked with going to get. I'm also choosing this one because Tom Sizemore, who's had a very troubled life, a difficult life, but was, I think, a great authentic actor. And, you know, he's a great in this as the sergeant. He died, he passed away. The cast is also brilliant. Ed Burns, Giovanni Ribisi is in this as well. Vin Diesel pops up, and even Ted Danson pops up at one point, almost as a cameo. So it's a long film. It cost $65 million, made over $500 million, and he's still making money, I think. And it's one of those, when you saw it, you thought, we're in the presence, despite the very sentimental ending, despite the kind of gung-ho element to it about the Second World War, which is completely justifiable because that was one of the few just wars, I think, fought in human history against the evil empires of Japan and Germany. Despite all that, actually, this is a very moving, quite a small film when you think of what it's about. It's, you know, 6 men, enemy territory, looking for one man, effectively just a boy, played brilliantly and really kind of unaffectedly by Matt Damon, and would have been so easy to either make him obnoxious or make him look entitled. And I think it's just a wonderful ensemble piece of acting, a lovely film. It's on great exclamation mark action rather. 9 o'clock Saturday night is of course Saving Private Ryan, and this is your trailer.
You should know about.
Yes.
These 2 men died in Normandy. This one at Omaha Beach.
Sean Ryan.
This one at Utah.
Peter Ryan.
This man was killed last week in New Guinea.
Daniel Ryan.
The 3 men are brothers, sir. I've just learned that this afternoon their mother's getting all 3 telegrams. That's not all. There's a 4th brother, the youngest. He's somewhere in Normandy. We don't know where.
That boy's alive. We're going to send somebody to find him. And we're going to get him the hell out of there.
Some private in the 101st lost 3 of his brothers, and he's got a ticket home.
It's not going to be easy to find one particular soldier in the whole damn war.
And it isn't particularly easy, and they don't all make it, you probably know by now, but even so, it's a cracking film, that one. What did you make of it when you first saw it, Van? Were you a fan of it? Fan's maybe the wrong word.
Oh, no, I was a fan. I absolutely loved it. Because remember, this is 1998.
Yeah.
It was Spielberg, and those 2 things, we'd never seen a version of Spielberg like this, and we'd never seen anything like the Battle of Omaha Beach at the beginning of this movie. It's absolutely it's just viscerally intense, absolutely armchair gripping. It's like nothing else on film. There's still no battle scene I can think of that rivals that in a movie. Like, there's no wartime battle scene that comes. You can chuck Sam Mendes and 1917 at me all the livelong day. Does not come close to the opening battle of Saving Private Ryan to me.
And I must say that you can tell that, although it's it sounds like a Hollywood cliche, they did spend, all the cast was sent to boot camp for a week. And I think that paid off because certainly the relationship between Tom Hanks and Tom Sizemore is just fantastic. And it looks like unscripted dialogue when they're talking about members of their platoon they've lost in the past. It's that real kind of, at the end of a long day fighting the Nazis, what do you talk about? And there's the music's about over nothing. You know, boy used to walk on his hands or something as part of the platoon. So, lovely film, great action. Go on, sorry.
Did you know that Vin Diesel actually directed a sequence in the movie that Spielberg had basically recruited Vin Diesel for this movie? We owe Vin Diesel's entire career to Spielberg and this movie. He actually wound up, because Vin Diesel had directed his own movie to start out. Spielberg had seen it, got him for Private Ryan, and then wound up letting direct a sequence as well. I don't know which offhand, but
I'm sure it wasn't the one in which he performs an heroic act. I won't say any more than that about Vin Diesel's character.
Hey, it's Vin Diesel. It's probably going to be one that makes Vin Diesel look good.
I'm not a Ferrari in sight, or even a knocked-off car, or a police officer on the streets of Hong Kong. So,
muscle car, please.
My final recommendation is my Western of the weekend. It's Sunday afternoon into the evening. It's on 5 Star. It's 5:10, which is a shame, really. 5:10 isn't the right time to show 3:10 to Umar. The original version from 1957 is remade with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, which wasn't bad. It wasn't actually a really particularly modern film. This one, though, is of its time, black and white. It's kind of got a high noon resonance because basically Van Heflin's character, he was in Shane as a kind of boring farmer in Shane. His character's ranch and farm is going under because of a terrible drought. And he agrees to escort this charming but psychopathic criminal played against type by one of my favourite actors, a really underrated actor from the 40s and 50s, Glenn Ford. And he's got to take him to Yuma effectively to be hanged. And there's a reward of $200 if he achieves it. Nobody else wants to do it because Glenn Ford's got a vast gang of guys, all of them are also psychopaths or, outlaws, nothing to lose, who are going to try and liberate him and kill whoever gets in their way. So that's the setup. It's basically, against all the odds, they've got to make it onto the 3:10 to Umar. It's on 5:10, should be 3:10, shouldn't it? In 5 Star Sunday afternoon from 1957, directed by the great Delmer Davis, who made some other great westerns as well, including The Hanging Tree, really underrated, very stark western, his last western. And here's a burst of the original trailer.
He's got a shotgun on you.
Soon it would be 3:10. The glasses were empty. The guns were loaded. Soon a man, scared but brave, would run an outlaw gauntlet to put a prisoner on the gallows-bound train to Yuma.
Dan! They're coming. Get the sheriff. Tell him to get as many deputies as he can.
The sheriff's out of town.
What? What do you mean he's out of town?
He took a prisoner to Tucson.
And probably made a kind of cameo is Lon Chaney Jr. in this, who was in the original film version of Mice and Men, and of course was the son of Lon Chaney Sr., the great silent horror film actor, who was the original Wolfman in the talkies. So there we go. Bit of film history buffs for you there. That's 3:10 to Yuma, Sunday afternoon, 5:10 on 5 Star. What's your final recommendation for us, please, Van?
Well, since he's coming back into cinemas in a matter of months anyway, why don't we go back with Indiana Jones on his last crusade, which I still maintain is probably the best of all the Indiana Jones movies. It's certainly the last good one so far. So from 1989, this is the third in the series. I think it's also the third sequentially as well, because the second one, Temple of Doom's a prequel, which we all forget. This sends Indy on a quest for the Holy Grail, ostensibly, but only as far as he's concerned to rescue his missing father, who we soon discover is played by none other than the legend that was the late, great Sir Sean Connery. Love interest in this is played by the brilliantly named and gorgeous Alison Doody, and it's got a wonderful sequence. It reunites, of course, the likes of John Rhys-Davies. You get Marcus Brody back in there as well. But you get my absolute favourite moment of all the Indiana Jones movies, in which Indy just casually accidentally meets Hitler, as you do, at a book burning in Berlin, just by chance.
And again, it's got real comedy in it, and you realise what a great deadpan comedic style Harrison Ford has got. The scene when he throws somebody off a Zeppelin and then says he didn't have a ticket. All the customers produced that. It's just a great game. Even though I've preempted it now, no spoiler alert. It's a brilliantly shot film, brilliantly made. The only thing I didn't like was the slightly stupid, simpering smile of the Crusader at the very end of the film. But I wanted it to be more a bit threatening looking and almost gone, But even so, great and underrated by this one. People, I mean, Temple of Doom had critics at the time. They're all great, the first three, no choice, but different things. But this one, and as you said, Alison Doody, oh boy, gorgeous.
That's it. I think this is the perfect all-rounder of the indie movies. It's not quite as rough around the edges as Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think it's a smoother, slicker film than Temple of Doom. But also, I think the addition of Sean Connery into the mix and giving Indy that sort of patriarchal kind of dynamic, with his own father, I think is a lot of fun. And I think it really makes the film. It's a shame we never got to see Sean Connery return to the franchise. Yeah. Would have been nice to see him back. He might even have redeemed Crystal Skull. We don't know. But I say, it's the best of all the indie movies for me. I hope James Mangold, director of the remake of 3:10 to Yuma, no less, does a good job with the new one. It looks good. But for now, you can enjoy the very best indie movie at the perfect time, Sunday tea time, 6:25 on E4. I'll leave you with a clip, and I believe this might actually be the no-ticket clip.
Oh, brilliant stuff. And I love the way that Sean Connery's, as his dad always calls Harrison Ford, Indy Junior. Here we go.
Junior.
On the Zeppelin, Harrison Ford. It's a cracking film. Here we go.
You didn't drag poor Marcus along, did you? He's not up to the challenge.
He sticks out like a sore thumb. We'll find him.
The hell you will. He's got a 2-day head start on you, which is more than he needs. Brody's got friends in every town and village from here to the Sudan. He speaks a dozen languages, knows every local custom. He'll blend in, disappear. You'll never see him again. With any luck, he's got the Grail already.
Does anyone here speak English? Or even ancient Greek? Water, no, thank you, sir. There's fish make love in it. Oh, my goodness me, thank you.
The unmistakable sounds there of Denham Elliott, who's fantastic in the film as well. Marvellous stuff. So that's your final recommendation. Remind us where we can see that one, please, Van.
That is Sunday afternoon at 6:25 on E4.
And you're joining us Monday morning throughout the show, of course, to give us the runners and riders, the big awards as they're kind of announced. But also you've got your off-screen, I suppose, to get through to unleash upon the world today. Tell us about your podcast, how we can find it.
Yes, you can find Adam Ball and myself on the Off-Screen show. So just Off-Screen on podcast platforms from 8 a.m. this week. A whole heap of goodies for you, like we say, Scream 6, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which just has to be talked about. We've got Meet Me in the Bathroom, a documentary about 2000 music scene in New York. Just loads of great stuff this week. It's been a wild one.
Make sure you download that, folks. Available all good podcast providers. It's called Off-Screen. The man is with us in the wee small hours of Monday morning talking the Oscars. Indeed, you might call them the Roscars. We'll after 5.